Ladies and gentlemen, Nexus 5 is finally here. Let me show you some of my favorite features. Now, when you open Nexus 5, it's going to look somewhat similar to Nexus 4, 3, etc. But the biggest difference here is you can now actually go in and really edit the different presets and patches in here, right? So previously, Nexus was very much a rompler. They've essentially unlocked underneath the hood for you, the producer, to come in and really create sound. So, no longer is it just a rompler, it is a full-fledged synthesizer and sampler. Essentially, we can really think about this thing as a workstation. I mean, God, there's FM synthesis, grain synthesis, wavetable, all sorts of cool things in here, including this nice snazzy Nexus 2 skin. Now, I think one of the most interesting things here from a sound design perspective is the fact that we can actually go into all the old expansions, open up any of those presets, and actually see how they program those sounds. So a lot of these patches, or at least I think a lot of them, were designed by Manuel, who also did some sounds for Avenger, like really talented sound designer. Not only are we getting a great synthesizer, but it's almost a crash course in sound design because there are some really good presets on here. And one thing I want to call out right away, and if you've seen my video on using this 90s technique to create old school ambient pads, what you're gonna find out is how many of these presets are actually using samples. And I think that just speaks to the power of sample synthesis, right? Under the hood, all these years, who would have known they were just samples of things, right? So I can grab this random sound here, FX sound. And if I go into the routing, we can see this is just a sample here. That's it. Just one sound, BT chirping FX. Really cool. What I think is even cooler is if we go into a pad here. And we look under the hood, I mean, this is incredible. Look at all the layers here. So these are 4 different samples within here, and then even a virtual analog oscillator. So they stacked up all these different sounds. So we have samples on these various layers here, and then this 4th layer here is just a sawtooth wave and a nice string sample here, so I can solo each one. And then the virtual analog. And some of these other samples. I mean, look at that. Even have looping set up within here, multi-sampling velocity, so you can get some really nice sounds from your samples within here. This is like pretty in-depth, man. This is really powerful here. And again, one of my favorite things about this is just being able to look at some of these great sounds here and see how they put them together, right? Again, here's another one sample-based as well. I mean, just really cool stuff. So then what I can do is I can come in and I can start to create my own presets within here, right? And so I'm gonna load up this preset I made the other day. And this is actually using a sample from a XV5080 by Roland. Right, so I was able to just take a sample here. So if I just go to my desktop Audio 3 here, I can take any sound, drag it directly into this sampler here, and it's gonna pull up this import screen where I can't speak, where it can run some processing on that audio. So similar in like an EMU, when you take a sample, you can automatically normalize, slice, loop. So they will auto loop up that sample, and you can even set up some crossfade length. This reminds me of an EMU, literally the emulator for after you take a sample, you can do some of these things automatically. And then it can even detect the root key, and then we can import that sample, comes in. The root key's wrong here. That's okay though. Let's pull up this view here. So this is like a detailed key mapping editor for your samples. There we go. Samples loaded up. And then here's our root down here. I think that's wrong. I think we need to shift it up a few octaves. So G3. Look at that. Man, that loop and those crossfades, like they're perfect automatically too. And I guess we can even see down here where that loop point is, and it's trying to match up the zero crossing. So I mean, this is like fairly in depth. I'm not gonna lie, this screen's like slightly confusing. I'm not really sure what's going on over on the left. But another thing I think is really powerful here, like let me try to find another pad here. And we can see again, 2 samples in this one. But as mentioned, because this is essentially a full-fledged sampler in some forms, you can of course have velocity mapping within here as well. You know, this concept in multi-sampling has been around forever, and really what we're seeing here in Nexus is so many sounds are based on this. So as I play different keys here, you'll see the sample actually change because we have different samples of this sound from the Korg, whatever that is, 8000, maybe the DW. So you can get some really nice multi-sampled sounds here. But then again, harping back to my video I made, like the power of sampling a single note and then playing a chord with the sampler. That's where you get a little bit of that odd, dare I say, dissonance in the sound, right? So because this is multi-sampled, it stays together a little better when I play a chord with it. But if you were to throw in just a single sample of a note and throw it on C3 and then play a chord, you'll kind of get that old school sound here. But this is just so cool to see to me because it verifies the concept of playing chords with a single note as a valid way to create sounds. Not that, you know, it was invalid. It's just really, really cool to see. So the other thing I want to show here is if I go into any sound, right, and we go into our layers, this is one of the presets, Digital Legends. I can come into Browse here, and based on the expansions that you have installed and samples that you use, you will actually get access to the raw samples, or we can call them oscillators, that the sound designers use to make these sounds. So I can come in and, for example, just search JD. I'm gonna assume they sampled a JD 990. So that's the other kind of cool thing here. You can get a sense of the different synths that they sampled. JDX here, you know, if we do Korg again, there's some Korg stuff. Roland, I think there was some Waldorf XT stuff in here. Super cool. So anyways, let's come in here. Let's come to the top right, load a new preset here, and let's make a preset. Bam, there's our signal chain there. Over on the right, I can add in a bunch of different effects here. So if I wanted like a delay, all sorts of weird stuff. Typical transgate. Pretty cool stuff, man. There's a ton of different effects in here. Just a ton. All right, let's not mess with these too much. Let's turn that off for now. Let's go into our oscillator here. So bam, within each oscillator or layer, I guess they call it, I can stack up different sounds in each one. How many can I do? Holy smokes, dude. What the f? Woo! Am I seeing this right? Is this... Are you supposed to be able to do that? This is fucking crazy. How many fucking sawtooth waves? I have 38 sawtooth waves in here. And that's just one layer. I could add another one up here and do the same thing. Is it? This is nuts. This is actually crazy, guys. I think we either broke it or this is serious, and you can go this deep here. I mean, this is actually bonkers insane. So can I detune these, put unison on all of them? My goal here is to break my computer. That's pretty cool. Okay. So we have an oscillator here. We want to make a pad. We have to go sample base. So again, one oscillator as of now. It's currently using their virtual analog engine. So I can come down in the bottom left here and change the synthesis engine that I use. So virtual analog, I can come in the middle here. I can use my typical waveforms, sawtooth, square, triangle, morphing. You know, some interesting things in there. And these sound pretty good. Like this sine here. Nice. Sounds very good. Let's go into sampler here. And then we have no samples, so we can click the browser here and browse all these samples in the ROM. Or again, as mentioned, I can load up my own samples. So I'm going to use a search here. By the way, Nexus, it'd be great to have categorization or tags in the sample browser. So if I wanted like a vocal sample, I could just apply a tag to search for that. It'd be really sexy to see. All right, let's find like a nice vocal. Oh, from a Korg M1. It is. Look at that. Nice multi-sample of the classic Korg M1 sound. I think we need to normalize this though. It's a little quiet. I think somewhere in here there was it. There we go. Reset that. Okay, maybe not. So let's come to the amp envelope up here. Let's add a good bit of release, a little bit of attack, a little bit of decay. There we go. Let's take this filter here. We'll go, oh, look at all these filter types. A lot of good things. Let's just go low pass 6, bring down the cutoff a little bit of resonance. I wonder what happens if we put on unison. Okay, so we have this. Let's do a little modulation on the filter cutoff. So we'll take LFO1, apply it to filter 1 cutoff. And where's LFO1? Here it is. Okay, we can see the modulation there. Let's slow it down. I don't want it synced. Trigger on note on. All right, we got chaos, user. Oh, I can draw my own LFOs. That's pretty cool. Actually, really snazzy. We just want a really slow LFO. All right, let's add some effects here so we can come over to this area. Let's just add a delay. Let's do the space reverb. Put some shimmer on it. That shimmer's a little much. We'll bring it down. Let's go back into the layer here and we'll add another oscillator, and let's make this one a sampler as well. And let's put something on top. So I think if we go into Digital Legends, we'll find some good sounds. Let's take that. Need a little bit of release. Then we'll put on a big chord, and I think that, let's go back to our effects. That shimmer, it's a little much. It's a little much. So I'm basically programming a Korg M1 here. Very cool. Let's see what else we have in here. This is just fun, man. Ooh, a nice saw. It's like a nice solo. Pretty cool stuff, guys. So anyways, just kind of fumbling through the thing. I think it's fun. It's cool. It reminds me of Omnisphere. Very similar to Omnisphere. It's, again, super cool to have access underneath the hood. Like, I'm mostly excited to dissect these patches that are in here and just see how they put them together. But, you know, I definitely could see myself using this just for some sound design stuff. And again, I think, as mentioned earlier, if you're just like a EDM trap producer, whatever, it's just more of the same. Now you have access under the hood. So if you're the type that designs your own sounds, this is fantastic. If you're not, you're just a preset dude, maybe you don't upgrade. You know, really, I don't know, maybe not too many benefits there, but yeah, guys, pretty cool stuff. Have a good one.